Hi there, Neil Jackson here from Dense Air, here in Dublin with Andy Hobbs. Halfway through day 2, attended a few sessions already. What's your key takeaways?
Well, I've been interested in how kind of AI has become so pervasive in the discussion. So the kind of experience from cloud and sort of the wider ecosystem has firmly found its way. So I'm surprised at how many sort of conference talks have been about AI or have drifted into AI. So I think that's kind of a very interesting kind of development. And so what are your key takeaways?
So there's a lot of discussion about openness, open RAN, open transport, open Wi-Fi. Basically, everybody's talking about disaggregating hardware, software, and making the whole ecosystem just a lot more economically viable for operators. So what do you think about AI and RIC?
I think that's really interesting. So I've been in quite a few sessions now, and I think, as I said earlier, AI is very much more prominent here. But there's actually different takes on it. So I've been hearing that you've got the kind of the equivalent of telco for AI or AI for telco. And actually it's kind of diverged into sort of where do you see the bottom line, the operational improvements and the efficiencies that can be gained from AI? Where do you see the monetization? Maybe it's AI as a service, or how do the telcos or the MNOs offer AI within the network? But then you've also seen how does the network itself architect for AI. So I've really seen a lot of interesting discussions on AI through the tech stack, through the kind of the overall business. So it's been fascinating, and it's just been really, really kind of AI heavy in my view in the sessions I've been in. And RIC actually plays into that, because I think RIC offers the bridge between the AI domain, the kind of how can you actually utilize data to make decisions, and the open RAN and the openness you mentioned. So the openness, RIC is part of that open ecosystem with open APIs. And I think the RIC is evolving to be almost powered by AI through XApps, RApps. So I see almost a convergence of the sort of the two domains, and it's been really interesting how that plays out in open RAN and neutral host. But I've also been picking it up again, and I suppose I've come across disaggregation as a buzzword. What do you think? How do you feel?
I mean, disaggregation is nothing new, really. I mean, it's the concept of separating the software from the hardware, so that you get the best economic model on the both sides. You're not dictated to what a single vendor, and So, but what we're seeing what I'm certainly picking up at FYUZ here is that concept is, and it's been talked about in the RAN space for years, but now that the same concept is now rolling over into the fixed world. So and now even the Wi-Fi vendors are talking about it, and talking about the economic benefits and the speed of deployment and the and also the the benefits, the end user benefit performance wise that results in such products. So yeah, a lot of buzz around the conference on openness. So what about monetization then?
Yeah, I think again it's been really, really interesting to hear, and I think you've kind of got two aspects to it. You've got the kind of the investment and where is the money coming to fund these networks, and I've certainly seen some interesting discussions from the neutral host providers, because they are basically trying to offer an alternative to the traditional MNOs fund, MNOs roll out, and that has been intriguing, because even within that they are kind of looking at revenue sources from the venue, sort of applications and the MNO themselves. But what's also interesting is they're bringing sort of private equity, so they're actually bringing additional funding sources, so maybe not your traditional selling services, but actually bringing new money into the ecosystem. So I've heard that a couple of times, and I find that it's a common problem that the MNOs don't have the funds they used to have. So 5G's rollouts have sort of almost exhausted their budgets already. So I think it's been an interesting twist, and it certainly plays to the strength of sharing neutral host and the model that we're kind of focusing on ourselves. So yeah, it's been a really, really great couple of days. Looking forward to this afternoon's sessions, and really interesting to see some of the more deeper dive breakout rooms on neutral host this afternoon.
Yeah, and getting an MNO perspective.
Absolutely, it's been encouraging to see quite a few MNOs participate in almost every session, and it's really getting perspective from the US, from across Europe, and the UK.
So Andy, inevitably the discussion gets around to neutral host. What key takeaways do you find?
Well, I find the discussion's got sharper actually. I think we've transitioned into a kind of an ambition and an idea around neutral host to the learnings from real deployments. So I kind of get the sense that there's so much more experience in the room, that we're talking around the realities of deploying, more operating, managing. So it's almost become the secondary issues have emerged. So we kind of talk about how we optimize deployments, how we kind of increase the monetization, how we increase the kind of the value of the networks. And we look at sort of the MNO perspective. So it really feels kind of it's moved on a level from previous discussions in the industry. How about you? What are you kind of sensing from your?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. The discussion's moved away from PowerPoint now, hasn't it? The adoption of neutral host is now much more clear. We do need to build up a few more examples in the industry, but yeah, the discussion is moving away from how can we accelerate the introduction of neutral hosts. Now, how do we break down, what barriers are there to adopting this and to getting it moving and getting it out there into the market? Yeah, great discussion.
Yeah, and I kind of also hear a lot more of the kind of industrialization. So all the language is coming in as a sort of deployment, scale out, and it really is sort of in all of the little working groups and sidebar discussions.
Yeah, collaboration. How do we get the MNOs talking to the government, talking to the vendors, talking to the operators, and how do we all bring all this together and just make it happen?
Absolutely.